Welcome to the Whiskey Vault. I'm Daniel Whittington, Chancellor of Wizard Academy and Whiskey Marketing School. We're doing an Irish whiskey that I saw on the shelf and was curious about. And we're talking about glassware because there's a question that came up. There's lots of different glassware. I have examples over here. I'm going to talk about them in a second. But all of the... Actually, let's start with this. No, we'll end with that. Here's some glassware, just for eye candy. And there's way more, but this is not that kind of a channel. So, I feel like I'm on the shopping network now. Ta-da! Is there a right whiskey for a whiskey? Is there a right glass for whiskey? I think yes, but less to do with brand and more to do with shape. There's 4 things that happen with a glass, and there have been scientific studies about this. So I'm not going to argue about whether or not a different glass has an impact. It does. Full stop. We could stop the video there. The shape of a glass completely changes the experience of what you are smelling and what you are drinking, and it's science. Now, in what 4 ways does it change it? That's what I'm going to talk about. First, we're going to say aroma. So depending on how a glass is shaped, it will capture, hold, and or funnel different aromas to the opening. Or, in the case of this one, for example, allow it to just sort of escape out the top. Or in the case of this one, be so wide that it just sort of never centralizes enough and you're going to be chasing it, right? So the Glencairn was designed brilliantly, I think. And I think really if you can get this kind of tulip shape, you're going to be better off than in anything else. But really the Glencairn is a flawless shape for holding this little bowl, holding some of the higher ethanol spiky notes and then funneling the remaining notes right up here into this glass, which is why you really don't want to just like agitate the crap out of it and then shove your nose in because you're kind of getting away from the whole point of having that tulip shape. So, but you can be gentle with it and just... You'll notice that what happens is, look where my nose is. It funnels, and you will get different smells. This is weird, but you'll get different smells from the top than you will from the bottom, and then the nose will change, but we've talked about that. So this sort of concentrates the flavors and presents it. That's Glencairn, that's Copita, that's any tulip shape that's small enough. Now, you get too big, right? It funnels it, and it's got a little bit of a swell, right? This is a beer glass, but it's too much floating in there, and you're going to have to agitate it to push things out. So that's aroma. The second thing that happens is flavor delivery, and this is more in wine. High proof, this is not as relevant. It is relevant, but it's not as relevant, because high ethanol is just going to hit your mouth at a certain point as high ethanol. Depending on how a glass is shaped, it can actually deliver the liquid to a different part of your mouth as you sip. And this is weird. Do it with water, not alcohol. Do it with water and watch where on your mouth the first liquid hits when you take a sip, or when you take a sip. This one will deliver it straight flat across the whole palate. This one will focus it into the middle, and then if you want to spread it out, you'll have to do it physically with your tongue. So in wine, what that does is it allows certain things to be pushed to the front where it can be spiced, sweet and pick up on the gentle. Or if you want it to spread out and open up and really layer across your palate, you can change your glass to accomplish those things. With high-proof spirits, it will change whether or not it flattens across or whether or not it hits right in the middle of your palate or and it will change the flavor. It won't be as dramatic of an impact as if it's a lower spirit thing. So we're going to shift to the 2 other things. One, but first let's try Ide and Stills. I saw the bottle, I was like, oh, Ide and Stills, Irish whiskey. Blend number 3, every drop triple distilled and matured in Ireland. Well, of course it's matured in Ireland. It has to be legally, or it wouldn't be called Irish whiskey. I thought it was a cool new interesting thing. I got home and discovered I think it's a Total Wine brand. Or at least it's Alexander Murray, ironically a Scottish company, who is based in, if I remember correctly, California. Last time I checked, yeah, Ventura. No, that's Wooler. Imported by Wooler Brands in Ventura. Anyway, Alexander Murray is a Scottish import. Alexander Murray is responsible for a lot of the Costco brands, for the Trader Joe's But basically, they're the pros at like sourcing for giant companies. And it looks like in this case, they worked with Total Wine to create an Irish whiskey release for Total Wine and or maybe some other big brand companies. I can't find anything about where it's from. I have no idea, and I looked real hard. They did a good job of making sure you don't know. And their website is pretty and also useless. Looks beautiful, gives you almost zero information that's not already on the bottle. It just does it in a different layout. That's all. So if you know or you can figure it out, put it in the comments. The nose, light, brittle, sort of a citrus zest, a lot of vanilla, a lot of metallic, aspartame-y kind of sugar frosting, vanilla frosting notes. Soft and sweet, a little bit bitter. It's right in the same ballpark as the cheapest Jameson or the cheapest Bushmills. Not as good as the cheapest Bushmills. Not as good as the cheapest Powers. Maybe close to the cheapest Jameson. It's just a fine, it's fine, budget Irish blend. It's fine. It's not amazing. It's fine. I would not be mad if I was at a party and they were like, we got this for our Irish. I'd be like, good, can I also have a Guinness? So I can have some flavor. Okay, if I had put this into here, notice, aroma focus. Woo, man, all I get now is slightly bitter and vanilla. And if I take a sip of it, this little weird lip right here, it just sort of launches it to like the halfway point in my palate, and it just turns into sugar. If I put this in this little baby taster, notice how much fuller that is. Ooh, it really pushes the ethanol forward and lowers the vanilla. It gets sharper. The sip is almost no different than the Glencairn. Rolls point first and then rolls back. This is more of a liqueur kind of, or a sherry glass kind of thing, but I like it because it's pretty. Can smell almost nothing. Look at where all the smells are rolling off the outside of that, and I can get almost nothing out of that. Vanilla. I know what's in there, and I'm still having a hard time. This lip pushes it way to the back of the throat, even on the first sip. Woo, it tastes bitter. That actually made it worse. Whoa, that's weird. Okay, do glasses matter? Yeah, absolutely they do. Okay, this one, wide open rocks glass. I love holding a rocks glass. Can you smell out of it? No, it smells like whiskey, ethanol and vanilla. And look how far I have to get in to even find anything. If you smell it on the edge, nothing. Ethanol. It just smells like someone poured ethanol, alcohol in there. And a sip. Yeah. There's a reason the tulip shape and the Glencairn has become industry standard. Now, temperature control is a real thing. And what I mean by that is not how you serve it, which, by the way, should be room temp. But as you hold a glass, if you're forced to hold it like this, you're going to warm up your whiskey over time. The Glencairn gives you this base with which you can hold it and keep from heating up the bowl beyond what you want to. Same thing with a stem, which a Copita would have. Same thing with this one if you hold it awkwardly like this, but you're going to want to hold this like that, and then you're going to want to warm it up. That's why people put brandy and cognac and those kinds of things. Not this, but something like this, actually. They want you to warm it up and like release the things. This one, nowhere to hold it without keeping it warm. This one, you're going to hold it up here. All the whiskey's going to stay down here. That's fine. But you're going to want to be careful about evaporation and things like that. And then last, this is most important, context matters. This is the most important of all of this. What you're trying to accomplish changes what you use as a glassware or whether you should care. If you're at your house and you just want a bourbon on the rocks, get a rocks glass. If you're trying to understand and analyze something, you need to find a glass that gives you a shot at actually getting to what's in that glass, right? If you're with fancy company and you want everyone to feel real cool and fancy, then sure, pour this. If someone has poured you a fancy glass and you finished it and you want to refill it into this. Drink it however you want. The company and the people and the encounters you're having with human beings around the glass, way more important than what kind of glassware you're using in those moments. If you are doing this for a living or you're trying to study, it's got to be a tulip shape or a copita, which is just a really narrowed top. And lastly, build your own patterns. And what I mean by that is you will have, if you're studying, and sometimes you study scotch in this one and then you pour your other scotch in this one, that is going to be useless to you. If you have built a whole bunch of studying with tulip-shaped glasses and then you go somewhere to work with someone else and they're all using these little things, it's going to take you a second to regrid where everything lives for you. Be aware of that. Remember that. Remember that glassware changes, and it changes your experience. And so it does matter, but at the end of the day, the most important thing is who you're drinking with. Cheers to you, and I'm really glad you're here. If what matters is who you're drinking with, then you should like and subscribe and drink with me.